5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 155, 160, 175, 180.
All children learn differently, and we have to adjust according to our students' needs.
195, 200, 205, 210, 215.
What is the area of your TV?
Differentiated instruction is the same for all grade levels. It's just taking one of your lessons and realizing that students are on different levels.
8 foot by 1 foot. Oh, so it's a plasma, it's so skinny?
Yep. Taking an activity and adding to it and making sure that you're meeting the needs of all students.
What are these, the 2 lounge chairs watching TV? Those are...
The main objective of today's lesson is to take complex problems and turn it into simple tasks.
So one of you get up and get a new center.
We will also be doing centers that focus on 6 units of measurement, which is area and perimeter, volume, capacity, weight, and time.
And then what do you think will take the longest?
Count to 500 by 5.
Counting to 500 by 5. That's a good prediction. Taylor, are you ready? You're going to count to 500 by 5s.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35.
2 ways of approaching differentiated learning. There's Howard Gardner, whether they're a tactile learner or a kinesthetic learner. So the more range in activities that you provide in the classroom, you're meeting the needs of the child, and it's dependent upon what way they learn.
So what was your estimate that was the largest?
This one, and it was.
And it was? How did you test your predictions, Ryan?
We took that many cups and filled them up with the rice and see which one had the most and which one had the least.
So you took the smallest, what you thought was the smallest.
Bloom's taxonomy has us working on all different levels, where the lower level student might be working on still their comprehension of what measurement is and be incorporating that, whereas a student who is at the higher level will be creating a project, and they're at the synthesis level.
How did you figure out if this one or this one was greater, Brian?
The next step, once you learn what kind of learner each child in your classroom is, the next step is taking the activities that you already had planned and then reaching the needs of all the students.
Below a gallon, what do we have? And here we have a quart right here up to the black line. So 4 of these fit inside a gallon.
Today's unit was on capacity. The most common form that I could think of was a gallon of milk. So I brought in a gallon of milk. I wanted students to be able to compare measurements.
Do you know how many cups are in a gallon? Saphir? 16. There are 16 cups in a gallon. All of you have a cup on your desk right now. I want you to actually count how many jelly beans were in your cup. Don't start yet. You're going to record how many were actually in your cup, and then write, was your estimate too high? Write a little paragraph. Was it too low? And what strategy you used to estimate.
The students have to break down the complex problem of eventually how many jelly beans are going to be in a gallon. First, they have to know how many cups are in a gallon. So if they've realized that 16 cups are in a gallon, they can then find out how many jelly beans are in a gallon and then record it in their math journal.
So I have 21. I have 13. You have 13, 14, 18.
So I wanted the students to write a paragraph on their estimate. Was their estimate too high? Was it too low? What strategy they used in paragraph form.
Who's doing the calculations?
The groups are always changing in here, so they're working with all different students, and it's invisible grouping. A student might accelerate in fractions and have a lot of trouble with measurement. So where they're sitting and what group they're in one day changes from week to week.
Would someone like to share with me what the estimate was?
I counted the top layer, but then I did one less for each layer to see if I...
Why one less for each layer?
Well, because it looks kind of like there is like 8 on this layer and only 6 on this one.
Good. That was a good strategy. And how close were you?
I was...
What was your estimate?
54.
54, and it was actually?
70.
That's pretty good.
I love math. Math is different than it was. It's so much fun now. The kids love it because it's hands-on. It should be hands-on.
The story today is called Counting on Frank, and it's by Rod Clement.
It's a book about a boy taking complex mathematical problems and applying it to everyday life.
My dog Frank is pretty big and takes up a lot of space. I calculate that 24 Franks could fit into my bedroom, but
Today, literature has been brought into math. It's an excellent tool to get the students involved, to get them excited about reading, but also that math is in all subject matters.
only 10 would fit into the entire house.
We're just concluding our measurement units, and today we had students that were still at the comprehension level.
Which one is the greatest? I think this B is the greatest.
We had a medium difficulty group where the boys took the book, Counting on Frank, that I read to the class. And they were calculating, they were estimating, they were taking a lot of problem solving, multi-step problems, and incorporating that into measurement. Then I had a group of girls, and they were a step higher.
You are going to create a scale of Frank's dining room. I have an activity for you in the back where you, to scale, will be working in the center of the room, figuring out area and perimeter is what you're going to be concentrating on today.
Their problem had to do with creating a dining room floor. They were working on area and perimeter. Not only did they had to take a small scale and turn it into a large scale, so that took a higher order of thinking. And then I had two really advanced groups. Those groups were at the synthesis level, which in Bloom's taxonomy is the highest level. It's even above evaluation. And what they were doing is they were creating a fantasy scaled room. They had mathematical requirements. They had to figure out the area of the room, the perimeter of the room. Then they had to figure out the area of each piece of furniture in the room. Okay, so did you write down the area of your TV? That we had one group where the boys were creating a plasma TV that was 8 foot long, and they realized, which was great, one of them wanted to lay down and watch TV, and he said he was 4'1", so the 4-foot couch wasn't long enough.
You're 4 foot what? 1. Oh, so you want it bigger because you want to lie down watching TV?
So he extended it to 5 feet, which is exactly what I wanted them to realize.
Another form of measurement, Rachel, time. Time is a very good form of measurement. All day long, we're looking at the time, and we don't realize we're measuring throughout the day.
Math has changed so much. When we were in school, it was a lot of taking measurements, say, and calculating the differences. It was using arithmetic and sitting at your desk. And now it's taking everyday practical situations, bringing it into the classroom, and it's all problem solving. Even though there is arithmetic, they were taking that arithmetic, but they were doing it in multi-step problem solving activities.
175 divided by 8.
The thing about differentiated learning and assessing is making sure that you do assess the student who is working on a higher end level, that you do still grade it critically. Otherwise, they get bored and they realize that it really doesn't matter what they do because they're working on more difficult activity. Doesn't mean you automatically get an A.
Okay, Taylor, go.
You still want to evaluate the student on a fair basis and what they're doing in class.
195, 200.
17 seconds.
Whoa.
Good job.